Cougar Radio 92.7, 95.3 FM HD4. Sports Talk with Sam Jordan is on the air. We're glad to have you along wherever you may be in the Tennessee Valley or around the world. Your chance to call in. Let's talk sports. A lot of stuff going on over the weekend, and it was a busy weekend, to say the least, and we'll talk a lot about the high school basketball tournament, the Chick-fil-A East-West Classic. Interesting things that went on. There was over 50 fouls called in the one game alone. And so that will be an interesting topic to discuss as we get into that high school segment. I guess on Friday, there was quite a bit of foul action going on also in that same tournament. More so in particular with a team from the Memphis area that ended up, the girls' game and everything kind of got a little out of hand. And I guess it was a record set because the state record for fouls that was ever called was 41. And I guess in the East Hamilton and one of the Memphis teams that was playing them in the championship game, I guess altogether there were 51 fouls called. So I've seen a lot of games over my 30-plus careers of doing basketball on radio and TV, but I don't think I've ever seen that many fouls called. There was 5 ejections because of fouls that happened for the one team, and we'll get all into that here a little bit later on. Also, the Cleveland Duels was quite interesting, to say the least, as well. But the one thing that we want to start off on is talking about the NFL. The NFL season right now, it's in week 14, the final game of this week's schedule, happening tonight with New England and Miami. Now, I think that one's going to be a blowaway. I hope Miami can make it somewhat a competitive contest, but I think New England's going to walk away with this. But a lot of interesting games, 2 games in particular that went into overtime, Buffalo and Indianapolis up at Buffalo, and also Green Bay and Cleveland. Seriously, Green Bay and Cleveland, you had to go into overtime. Green Bay, unfortunately, won it in overtime, 27-21, and Buffalo beat Indy 13-7. But there is no reason. I don't care if Aaron Rodgers is not in the game. It hasn't been for the last several weeks due to his collarbone injury. But even with Hundley and with all the talent that the Packers have and the lack of talent that's in Cleveland, why? I mean, seriously. What I thought was a very good game was last night with Pittsburgh and Baltimore. And, of course, I'm always going to be partial to the Steelers because, they are – of any AFC team, I will root for the Steelers. Tennessee would be a close second, and that's because I've been in PA for a number of years, and it's just one of those things that, anybody that plays Dallas, I'm not going to root for. But, if I had to pick another team to watch consistently besides my Dallas Cowboys, it would be the Pittsburgh Steelers. But Pittsburgh was making me a little bit uneasy last night. It was a close contest. Baltimore was up for the most part throughout the second half, and Pittsburgh literally clawed its way back and won in the final minute of the contest there, 39-38, and ended up they got the AFC North title while they were at it. Ben Roethlisberger with 506 passing yards. Antonio Brown with 213 receiving yards in that contest. Alex Collins for Baltimore had 120 yards in rushing. So, That was a good game. The other good game was Philadelphia and the LA Rams. Carson Wentz led in the passing category with 291 yards, even though he got hurt in the second half, and Nick Foles came in. Now, if you're not familiar with Nick Foles was the quarterback up until Carson Wentz got drafted, and Carson Wentz ended up getting the starting nod last season. Him and Dak Prescott were the two rookie quarterbacks, other than Jared Goff, that came into the league. And with that, Wentz got hurt. Nick Foles came in, did an outstanding job. I didn't think Foles was still with the Eagles, and evidently he wasn't up until just recently. And they picked him up to have as a good reserve quarterback, and fortunately they did, because Foles still had it. I saw that he had a different uniform number than what he had when he was there before, but I think Philadelphia he made a good choice by picking him back up off of waivers and signing him as backup quarterback. But Philadelphia won 43-35. Another interesting game, Arizona and Tennessee. Arizona won 12-7 over Tennessee. I was thinking that Tennessee won. Maybe I'm looking at this wrong. Blaine Gabbert had 178 yards for Arizona. In that contest. Let's see here. Other good games. San Francisco got another victory under its notch. Jimmy Garoppolo, 334 yards passing, and helping the 49ers to a 26-16 victory. Carolina pulled one out over Minnesota. Now, Minnesota is not a pushover team. Carolina's been struggling a little bit, but they ended up winning by 7, 31-24. Detroit evidently is having some issues because they just barely beat Tampa Bay 24-21. And then the Dallas game with the Giants, I'm sitting there, it's like thinking, okay, it was tied up 10-10 most of the game. And then all of a sudden, the second half, it's like Giants didn't come out of the locker room, evidently. And it was like boom, boom, boom. And then a little pause, and then boom, exclamation point. And the Cowboys won the game 30-10. So, it was kind of a boring first half and had you on the edge of your seat watching. But Dallas was able to come away. Dak Prescott with 332 yards passing. Giants, looked okay. And then Eli Manning just started throwing picks, and Dallas just capitalized on it. Alfred Morris had 62 rushing yards. Rod Smith, 113 yards in the receiving department. Had a pretty interesting day. So Cowboys still on that hunt to make a wild card spot. Kansas City over Oakland, 26-15. Alex Smith, 268 yards passing. And Oakland, I thought, was actually a better team than Kansas City looking at it prior to the start of the game. But Kansas City, I think they had lost like 2 or 3 in a row before getting a victory over Oakland. Now, we'll talk about this a little bit later with the scheduling and stuff. But Chicago pulled an interesting win over Cincinnati, 33-7. Mitchell Trubisky, 271 yards passing. Found Jordan Howard and Kendall Wright on numerous occasions and actually did pretty decent in that contest. But Buffalo, Sean McCoy, 156 yards, with Jacoby Brissett being the passing leader there for Indy, 69 yards. Wow. All right. So tonight it's New England and Miami. There's still quite a bit of tickets left for that game at Hard Rock Stadium down in Miami. So, if your team did well yesterday or on Thursday night, which that would have been Atlanta beating New Orleans 20-17. Drew Brees with 271 yards passing. Devontae Freeman for the Falcons with 91 yards rushing. Michael Thomas with 117 yards in the receiving department. Now let's take a look at the standings. In the AFC East, New England Patriots with a 10-2 record. They're still got the Bills hot on their heels, even though the Bills have got a 7-6 record. Miami's got a 5-7 record. New York Jets 5-8. Jets are pretty much done. And I would say unless the Dolphins pulled one off tonight, they're pretty much done. Bills, I think, are done anyway, but it's just a matter of formality playing out the other 3 or 4 games that are left on the schedule. Steelers won the AFC North title after beating Baltimore. Steelers got an 11-2 record. Baltimore in second with a 7-6 record. The Bengals with a 5-8 record. And Cleveland 0-13. They almost got a victory yesterday over the Packers of all teams. That would have been embarrassing. AFC South, Jacksonville Jaguars with a 9-4 record. They've got the Titans hot on their heels with an 8-5 record. Houston Texans with a 4-9 record. Talk is Bill O'Brien may be looking for another job, quite possibly. Another job seeker, maybe the coach there in Indianapolis. They've got a 3-10 record. You can't lay everything on Andrew Luck. You know, yeah, he got hurt, but that's because of his O-line not being as strong as they had once been. AFC West. This is where it gets a little complicated. Kansas City and Los Angeles Chargers are both in there with a 7-6 record. They are pretty much on even keel. Kansas City is slight advantage as far as with the number of points that they've scored and the number that they've given up. Chiefs are on a 1-game win streak, whereas the Chargers, they won 4 in a row so far. So Chargers doing well since moving to the Memorial Coliseum there in L.A. Oakland is 6-7. They're not out of it yet. Denver Broncos are 4-9, and they technically are still in it as well. Believe it or not. NFC East, the Philadelphia Eagles, they won the NFC East division with an 11-2 record. Cowboys 7-6. They've still got a slight chance of making the playoffs. They're in the hunt. But they've really got to have 2 out of the 3 next games. They need to be able to win at least 2 of them and get some help from other opponents. Washington Redskins with a 5-8 record and the Giants with a 2-11 record. Steve Spagnuolo in the interim position for the Giants. So, and Spagnuolo's got experience. He's coached at Miami. He's been a top coordinator or assistant head coach through the years. And I don't know, maybe it's a job in training for him. So the Giants needing a lot of help as well. They might be able to get top 5 draft pick. Who knows? NFC North, Minnesota Vikings with a 10-3 record. Detroit Lions with a 7-6 record, as well as Green Bay Packers. So interesting to see the Lions and the Packers with similar records. Chicago Bears, just embarrassing, but they are doing better than what they have been in the last couple of seasons. Chicago with a 4-9 record. NFC South, New Orleans Saints and the Carolina Panthers are tied with a 9-4 record. Atlanta right behind them with an 8-5 record. Tampa Bay with a 4-9 record. NFC West, this one is very similar to the AFC West in comparison. The Rams of LA are 9-4. Seattle Seahawks 8-5. Arizona Cardinals 6-7. The 49ers 3-10. Whoever thought San Francisco was going to win 3 games, and especially without Colin Kaepernick. Ooh, wow. Well, anyway, interesting to see the Niners doing as well as they are. But let's take a look here at how the playoff standings are shaping up. Flip through the papers here. Pittsburgh with a 1 seed right now, with a 1-game advantage over the Patriots, and that will be a possible change in the standings. Jacksonville is in that 3rd slot, and Kansas City in 4th. Then you got the Tennessee Titans, the Buffalo Bills, Baltimore Ravens, and LA Chargers that are basically in that 2nd wild card slot, battling it out. Right now, Buffalo would win that tiebreaker over Baltimore based on the strength of victory, and a win tiebreak over LA based on best win percentage in conference games. So right now it's Tennessee and Buffalo in the wild card slots, and you got Baltimore and the LA Chargers looking from the outside. But then again, you've got Oakland and Miami that aren't far behind. The Jets, yeah, believe it or not, the Jets and the Bengals have a possibility here of getting into the playoff picture if a lot of things happen. Then the NFC, you got the Eagles. It just breaks my heart having to say that. You know, they won the NFC East division title. Minnesota with a half game back of the Eagles in the number 2 slot. The Rams, the LA Rams, formerly in St. Louis. Before that, they were in Los Angeles. Now they're back in LA. And they got rid of Jeff Fisher. And now the Rams are doing good with a 9-4 record. The tiebreaker over New Orleans based on head-to-head win percentage. Saints are in that 4 slot. Then you got Carolina and Atlanta on the outside looking in, and as well as with Seattle. Atlanta and Seattle have got similar records, but Atlanta gets the tiebreak over Seattle based on head-to-head win percentage. So that's the big difference there. Carolina right now and Atlanta are your top teams in the wild card hunt, as well as Tennessee and Buffalo. And I'm getting a Facebook text here that the Titans will win the AFC South. Okay, let's see that happen. Let me go back here at the records. Tennessee is in 2nd place with an 8-5 record. Jacksonville with a 9-4 record. Yeah, there's still 3 games left on the schedule, but the Titans need to help themselves. They should have beat Arizona, and last I thought they had done that. But according to my report here, Arizona beat them 12-7. So it will be interesting to see how things shape up in the NFC wild card and the playoff picture. And the next 3 weeks are very crucial, for that to happen. All right. Remember, you can always call in with your questions or comments at 423-800-8949, 423-800-8949. So, right now, of course, I just got another text here on Facebook. The person said the Titans win the tiebreaker over the Jags. Well, Jags are right now in the 3rd position, and they're leading the division, so that is not true in the least. that's not how they're going to look at it. And with Jacksonville having the better record in the division, Jacksonville naturally would be guaranteed in that slot. Tennessee's just got to be able to get ahead of Kansas City. That's the thing. And then Buffalo, is the other wild card team. So it will be interesting to see what happens here over the next several weeks as far as with the playoff situation. 423-800-8949 is the phone number to call in with your questions or comments. And we've got a little bit less than 3 minutes left here in the segment. And then we'll be back talking about all that high school sports action that went on over the weekend. Want to remind you that coming up, outdoors event on Sunday, December 31st at 9 a.m., the Chihuahua New Year's Eve ride. Join Sorba, Chattanooga, for a New Year's Eve group ride on Chihuahua. Come see where the roots of Chattanooga mountain biking were founded and learn more about the Ocoee area, all while celebrating another year on two wheels. Group will meet at the Clemmer Trailhead or at the Chihuahua Campground at 9 a.m. on Sunday, December 31st. Ride is weather dependent. So just want to make sure that you get an opportunity to participate in that. Also coming up on the 16th, that's this Saturday, Sitton's Gulch Hike at Cloudland Canyon and Growing Up Wild Workshop will be going on. Then on Sunday, the 17th, the Lookout Mountain 50-miler. They'll also have a 21-miler, a 5K, and a 10K trail race that will be going on this coming weekend. We'll tell you more about that as the week goes along. Just want to get you updated with some outdoors events that are going on here in the Tennessee Valley. The Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission held its final meeting of the 2017 calendar year this past Thursday and Friday up at Lone Oaks Farm in Hardeman County near Middleton. Frank Fisk, the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency Fisheries Division Chief, had a presentation on the status of Asian carp in Tennessee waterways. Asian carp has been something of a nemesis for wildlife resource agencies all across the country, and especially here in the eastern half of the United States. And he discussed the latest efforts by the TWRA and its partners to control and contain the invasive species. And they also talked about a number of budget expansions so the agency can accept funds from other sources. There's not going to be an increase in license dollars included in the expansions. The chiefs of the respective divisions explained their requests in detail, and a presentation was given in regard to a future workshop and evaluation process relating to TWRA and TFWC in recruiting, retention, and reactivation. So that was just some of the things going on this past Thursday and Friday up at Middleton. We've got more sports coming your way in the next half hour. Once again, 423-800-8949 is the number to call with Sports Talk with Sam Jordan on Nooga Radio, 92.7 FM.
The Tennessee Valley's news talk leader, Nooga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM. 3, 2, 1. Chattanooga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4, 92.7 FM's news now.
Chattanooga cops say that a convenience store clerk was shot on Saturday morning at about 9 o'clock a.m. The victim said that he was standing manning his station when a man walked in with a gun, jumped the counter, and shot him, taking cash before running away. He was left bleeding on the ground, pierced by a bullet. He was taken by Hamilton County EMS to the hospital. He's expected to recover. Police trying to track down the gunman. Another robbery, this one at the Dollar General store on Macaulay Avenue Sunday morning. Chattanooga cops say it happened at 9 a.m. The clerk says the suspects demanded money. One of them had a gun. They both wore masks and gloves, and they took off on foot, cash in hand. That store closed till this afternoon. A jury found Rayshawn Lowry guilty in the death of Tatiana Emerson, the 3-year-old who prosecutors say was beat to death. He's facing a possible life prison sentence. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News Talk 92.7 and 95.3 HD4 now.
Expect clear skies to continue through your nighttime. Quite cold again overnight. Lows into the mid and upper 20s. After a frosty start, lots of sunshine. A little warmer for your Monday. Highs back into the lower 50s. Turning colder again Tuesday and Wednesday with highs back into the lower 40s. Cold man winter is back, so let Dodge City Ski Shop keep you and your family toasty warm with the largest selection of cold weather clothing around. From long underwear, wool socks, and Columbia jackets, that's Dodge City, East Raynard Road, Chattanooga. And I'm Sorensen 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Moore.
Traffic, news, and information. Nooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM.
Hi, this is Sonia with the Mountain Oaks Weddings, Events, and Tea Room in Ottawa, located in the former James County Courthouse. Go back in style when you're planning your next event. Mountain Oaks is a full-service wedding venue and catering facility. No fuss, no mess, no cleanup when you schedule your next special event with Mountain Oaks. Leave the planning and the work to the experts, but take all the credit for your wonderful event. Call me, Sonia, at Mountain Oaks today at 423-238-9333 and leave the work to us.
423-238-9333 or stop by our location on Church Street in Ottawa.
Pulse Centers of Chattanooga offers non-medical solutions to your body's problems using a state-of-the-art technology called pulsed electromagnetic fields, PEMF for short. We help fuel the body's natural healing response. If you're tired of taking harmful, addictive drugs that only dull your pain and cause awful side effects, the knowledgeable, friendly staff at Pulse Centers can help you end that cycle.
Call to schedule a free whole body assessment at 423-771-7755. That's 423-771-7755. An automated nuclear missile defense system has suddenly entered into launch mode, and you are the only one who can stop it. Escape Experience Chattanooga. Your team has just been infected with a deadly virus. Your only hope? There, in an abandoned farmhouse. Escape Experience Chattanooga. Handcuffed in a maximum security prison, you have an hour to flee. Escape Experience Chattanooga. These escape scenarios and more at Chattanooga's best escape room game and team building platform. Call now. Slots are limited. Register online at escapeexperience.com/Chattanooga. Escape Experience Chattanooga.
The Tennessee Valley's news talk leader. Nooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM.
Nooga Radio 92.7, 95.3 FM HD4 with Sports Talk with Sam Jordan. Good evening to you. And we're in our second half hour of the show, and we want to encourage you to call in at 423-800-8949 with your questions or comments. UTC Mocs men's basketball team winners over the weekend, and they won 64-50 in their contest over the UNC Charlotte 49ers. And let me switch here. Leading the way, Rodney Chapman with 23 points. He's had an outstanding season. London with 11, Dixon with 8, and Lewis with 6. Phillips had 7, John Baptiste with 6. Charlotte was 7 of 15 and 3-point goals, whereas Chattanooga was 7 of 24 from the Promised Land. Charlotte led in rebounds and turnovers and trailed. No, I take that back. Charlotte led in turnovers, but Chattanooga had more rebounds over Charlotte, 33-27. Charlotte in turnovers, 20-14. And Chattanooga with 12 assists. Charlotte had 10. And the game was tied at 29 in that contest at halftime. So congratulations to U2C for coming away with that victory over the Charlotte 49ers. And the Mocs are now 5-5 on the season, where Charlotte falls to 3-6 with its 4th straight loss. So that is awesome. And especially with UTC being the youngest team, according to the NCAA, in men's basketball action, and they're really putting things together. They're starting to gel, and hopefully Lamar Parrish, the head coach, will get this team where it's figured out what it needs to do. as far as with heading down the stretch, and even though that stretch is a long ways to go. Let's switch gears while we're at UTC, talk about men's tennis. The men's tennis program, head coach Chuck Mersbacher announced the addition of Bo Nash to the Mocs roster for the 2018-19 season. This just came out not even a little over an hour and a half ago. Nash is a two-time state champion from Oxford, Mississippi, and has helped his Oxford high school tennis team to a 55-3 mark over the last 3 years, including team state championships in 2015 and 2016. He's 37-6 individually, and he won the boys 5A title last season. And he won the doubles championship as a sophomore, as a two-time Clarion Ledger first-team all-state honoree there in Mississippi. He's listed as two-star prep prospect on tennisrecruiting.net and is the number 4 prospect in the state of Mississippi. It was twice for Southern Junior Cup in boys 16s and 18s. This includes top 3 players in each age division from each state in the Southern District. He was awarded the Powers Moore Sportsmanship Award, which goes to an individual in Mississippi in recognition of good sportsmanship on and off the court. And he's the son of Rose and Lewis Nash and has an older sister who plays tennis at Delta State. He's on the honor roll, a student who plans to major in mechanical engineering. So he's smart, and he's an outstanding tennis player. So that's really awesome for the UTC Mocs program right down the road from us here in Chattanooga. So some outstanding accomplishments for that young man, and a great coup for the UTC Mocs tennis program as well. So, we were discussing earlier about the action that went on over the weekend, but, there's still a lot of little side stories while we're talking college sports right now. The new University of Tennessee football coach, Jeremy Pruitt, has got ties nearby in Rainsville, Alabama. His father, Dale, being a coach there in Rainsville as well. But the father also coached at one Tennessee high school very near to Chattanooga, Marion County. So he's the new coach at Tennessee, Jeremy Pruitt's also been an elementary school physical education teacher at Fort Payne, which is not that far away as well. And so Jeremy Pruitt also played quarterback for his father at Plainview, and then attended Middle Tennessee State University and became a defensive back under Boots Donnelly, and then later transferred to Alabama and played on the 95 and 96 teams there in Tuscaloosa. In the 1995 game at Birmingham's Legion Field, Tennessee broke a 10-year drought in the rivalry with several scores early under quarterback Peyton Manning, 141-14. The 1996 Tennessee-Alabama game at Neyland Stadium, running back Jay Graham broke loose on a 79-yard touchdown run late in the fourth quarter to give the Vols a 20-13 win. Both games are considered among the more memorable for Tennessee in that series against the Crimson Tide. But, it's interesting to see the close proximity in relationships with new football coach Jeremy Pruitt, and what he is hopefully going to be able to turn around the program up in Knoxville with the Vols. So, it's been a great week, and morale hopefully is starting to pick back up in regards to Tennessee Vols sports, especially with football. And, with the new coach bringing in some top-notch assistant coaches, a couple of them coming from Florida, a couple of them coming from Colorado State. Only one coach, running backs coach up in Knoxville, was offered to stay on and help the Vols continue their success. Pruitt, as we've said, is a defensive-minded coach. He's been the defensive coordinator for the Crimson Tide for the last couple of years. And so, that will be an impetus as far as with trying to turn around the program. And I think that with the new offensive coordinator, and I don't have his name offhand, that's coming aboard, that's one of the top offensive-minded coaches, assistant coaches in the country, that Tennessee can get all of their cylinders firing away in this new tenure, to succeed Butch Jones, who haven't heard from. Nothing has been spoken about Coach Jones. Same way he went over in Fayetteville with Coach Brent Bielema, who was let go right after their, tough loss there on Black Friday against Missouri. But Chad Morris took over that program, and hopefully Arkansas will be able to be a force to be reckoned with in the SEC. Once again, 423-800-8949 is the phone number to call with your comments about, sports in general. We encourage you to call in and talk about it. Don't forget, we've got our feature that we have. Will be back with us tomorrow night with the Predators Pulse. And we'll have my youngest twin son, Samuel Jordan III, that will be giving us a report from up in Nashville. How the Preds have been doing. They've had some real neat games of late, and they'll be back in action on Tuesday. And Sam will be checking in with us on that and talking about the Preds and what's been going on since we last talked with him on Thursday. I believe it was Thursday. Maybe it was Friday. It just seems to go all together anymore. But high school basketball underway here pretty much on a regular basis now. And then they'll be playing for about another week or so after this. And then they'll have the break for Christmas. And then right after Christmas, a lot of holiday tournaments will be going on. So it will be neat to talk about that as well right after the Christmas break. And then, of course, right after New Year's is out of the way, we will be getting into the thrust of things with high school basketball, boys and girls, and, of course, wrestling. And one of the things that I noticed recently, the fact that Tennessee High School Athletic Association or Scholastic Secondary, the governing body of Tennessee high school sports has decided to keep, the number of dates pretty close to what the basketball programs have across the state, 24 in basketball. But wrestling was around 18, and they've improved that where they can add a few more contests, I think, to 22 now. So that's an improvement. Whether or not they take it up to 24, will be decided upon a later date and time. But with that, they're trying to make it to where it's an even keel sport as far as with the number of contests and stuff. So once again, 423-800-8949. We encourage you to call in and let's talk sports here on Nooga Radio 92.7 FM, 95.3 FM HD4. And tomorrow or Wednesday, you'll be noticing us a little bit stronger out there in the Tennessee Valley on 92.7 FM. And we'll have a little bit of a pause where we won't be on the air either tomorrow or Wednesday. It depends on the engineer and the tower climber, but you'll be able to take us a lot more places throughout the Tennessee Valley as we're upgrading our signal. And we hope that it will be beneficial for you. So that will be getting underway here over the next day or so. And we're really excited about that here at the radio station. So, where there'll be little gaps where you experience it right now, hopefully those gaps will be remedied with this increase that we're experiencing. Don't forget, if you'd like to be a part of Sports Talk with Sam Jordan or even The Clutch with Keon Rose, I'd like to be a sponsor of it. You can always contact me at 423-497-2407. And we have affordable advertising packages for both of these sports shows, along with NASCAR and with our outdoor show that we have on the weekends as well, Set the Hook. And, we encourage you, if you're a sports-minded individual who has a business, we can put you on a very affordable plan that will help you and your business attract our listeners to come to your business. If you're already listening, we've already attracted you. So let's bring more people into your business. So give us a call, and we will be more than glad to help you out with that. So high school basketball the other night at the Chick-fil-A East-West Classic. East Hamilton and Fayette Ware contest where East Hamilton was able to defeat them for the boys title in that tournament. And last year, or I should say last season, East Hamilton and Fayette Ware had met in the state playoffs, and Fayette Ware just kind of left East Hamilton behind, to say the least, in that playoff game, beat them by over 20 points. And, they knew that they were going to meet somewhere along the line. And East Hamilton was able to come up with the big win for the for that Chick-fil-A East-West tournament. So I've got a feeling that these two teams will probably end up meeting again in the state playoffs. It was a close margin, but I'm sure that East Hamilton was able to figure out what they were able to correct upon, and they did. And when I was reading about the story of the game, one of the team players said, there was 3 different aspects to the game where it was fast-paced, a lot of outside shooting, and just a lot of mental toughness, going up and down the court and trying to be able to, take care of the opposition. And East Hamilton was able to do that. Now, with the East Hamilton, or I should say Bradley Central ladies, Lady Barretts, they had an interesting contest against one of the Memphis area schools where there were 51 fouls. And they haven't quite confirmed whether that's a state record or not. The record was 41, but they're going to go through and confirm whether or not that was actually a record breaker. But there was 5 players from Bradley Central that ended up fouling out in that contest. Now, typically, a high school basketball team, you've got anywhere from 12 to 15 players that are on a team. So, you were kind of getting down to, subs that normally would not play that much. And they probably had to make sure that they had enough JVs, and in the book, because if they're not in the book, they're not getting into the game. And you play with what you have left. But 51 fouls in that Bradley Central game. I've seen a lot of fouls and seen maybe like 3 players from each team get fouled out and everything. Very rarely you'd see 4. But 5 on the Bradley Central team, and I guess there was quite a few more that had fouled out in with their opponent in that contest. But, that was a lot. College basketball, Villanova still on top. Villanova men's, that is. And interesting to and I didn't check this before we went on tonight, see how well Tennessee's doing. They had been leading the division, both men's and women's, but there was probably games over the weekend, so they weren't. I did not get to find out whether or not Tennessee were victorious tonight. I know the men's team here in Chattanooga won their contest, and then the women's team lost to Virginia Tech in a narrow loss, so that will be interesting. The ladies' team's actually been doing quite well this year, and the men's team, they've evened their record at 5-5. So with that being said, hold on one second. So the men's team is at a 5-5 record, and I'm not quite sure who UTC will be playing next. I think their next game is either Wednesday or possibly next weekend. So we'll talk about that in tomorrow night's show and keep you up to date. Don't forget, coming up here at the top of the hour after CBS World and National News and the World News Roundup, we'll have Alex Jones that'll fill in for Keon Rose, who is out until tomorrow night. At least that's what I was told. So when he comes back, I am sure that he will be full of all kinds of information in regards to sports with the Clutch, with Keon Rose. And he had to take a few days off for family issues. So, of course, family comes first no matter what. But, it's great to have different perspectives with the various genres of spoken word. Of course, you get all the news and the talk throughout the day, beginning with Matt Ray and Russell Stroud, from 6 to 9. And Russell is he's all throughout the day. And then you got David Tulis with Nooganomics from 9 to 11. Tomorrow, we'll have Roxanne Clark and Michelle in here with the Pulse Centers, talking about the various aspects of pulse electromagnetic field testing. And it's actually a very worthwhile treatment process where they put the paddles either on your lower back or on your shoulders or on your legs. I know I had an issue with my leg here a couple weeks ago, and they put that on, the paddles underneath my leg, and it really took care of things. And, sending pulses into your cells of your body. So if you want to find out more about that, you can do that tomorrow as well with the Drug-Free Pain Relief Hour presented by the Pulse Centers. Then, of course, noon, we've got the Nooga News Radio Power Hour. Russell Stroud for 1 hour in there, giving you all the latest news and information. And, of course, me throughout the day with sports updates. And then at 1 o'clock, Bloomberg Policy, Politics, Power, and Law from 1 to 3. And then the number 2 ranked talk show in the country, Sean Hannity Show, is on from 3 to 6 exclusively on Nooga Radio, 92.7 FM. And, of course, you get me then and then Keon. And then we have more news for an hour at 9 o'clock. And then Ground Zero with Clyde Lewis. And then somewhere in the night with George Noory. Take you through your overnight hours. So a lot of great programming here on the radio station. And, of course, weekends are even more fun to listen to. Set the Hook with Pat Rose, Money Pit, and a lot of other great programs that you can listen to here throughout the weekend. Of course, encore presentations of Sean Hannity and a whole lot more for you to listen to as well. Leo Laporte with all the tech stuff out there. If you're not computer literate or technology literate, you can learn a lot by listening to Leo Laporte. I actually enjoy listening to that show throughout the weekend here on Nooga Radio. But we'd like to hear from you. Let us know what you think about the show or shows in regards to Keon and my show. And we're more than glad to talk to you about it. We give you that opportunity to call in with your comments or questions. And if you have thoughts on a particular issue, whether the NFL playoffs or with Tennessee Vols football or whatever it may be, talk high school sports, be more than glad to talk to you on that. And we will try to give you a relevantly great answer in return. So you can always chat with us on Facebook Live when we're doing our show, or watch us on Facebook Live or on YouTube as well. We are a multimedia platform for you to be able to find the particular shows that you're looking for. So a lot of great things that comes your way here on Nooga Radio. Don't forget, tomorrow night we'll be back with you from 6 to 7 talking sports once again. we are looking at having some interesting information to pass along to you and talk more about sports in general. And one thing that we're wanting to develop as well is a program called Chattanooga Outdoors, talking about various things. This is a very outdoor-oriented area, probably more than I've ever seen anywhere else in the United States. A lot of things going on with running, hiking, biking, fishing, hunting, you name it. And that's one thing that we would like to try to develop here and bring to you that you can hear weekly on the radio. And if you'd like to find out more about that, you can always call me at 423-497-2407. But until tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, we'll have more sports talk with Sam Jordan coming your way then. Don't forget our sports updates throughout the day as well here on Nooga Radio. Alex Jones is up next. Have a great evening. We'll talk to you again soon. So long.
95.3 HD4, 92.7 FM.
3, 2.